Hello everyone, and welcome to my solo RPG journal. Excuse me while I fiddle with the camera there, that's probably a bit unnecessary. We're live for the second time, so that's going to be interesting and fun, and who knows? Who knows what will happen today? Hello. So, we're going to be playing the Alchemist journal. Continuing the story of Gabriel, our adventurer who has decided to settle down and set up an alchemy shop. He's come to the city of Flyer Ridge and has been looking for essence. Someone who he needs to get can I say enough. He says again. So, looking for essence, Gabriel needs a license in order to join the Merchants Guild, in order to sort of just get some help setting up his shop. So, in order to get a license, he needs some kind of accreditation, someone needs to vouch for him, someone needs to actually test his skills. Essence was the alchemist that he was looking for originally, couldn't find, discovered that she had probably been kidnapped by a vampire. And, well, all the leads went dead. So he wasn't able to find anything, really. And so he started looking for Kelgen. He got the names of 3 different alchemists. And so he went looking for a second one, which should have been relatively easy to find, and he did actually find this guy. Now, Kelgen thought I had more notes on him. Kelgen was the second of the 2 people that he could find, the second of the 2 alchemists that he could find, who spends a lot of time doing work for the guild. He's a bit of a coarse statesman, comparable to the party. His motivations are to steal opulence, assist discrimination, and take beauty. Bit of a greedy person, only out there for his own gain, and furthering his own goals. Doing so both politically in the city and in the Merchants Guild. And so he has picked up the task. Well, he's looking into the disappearance of Essence, being that a member of the Merchants Guild has been ostensibly kidnapped by vampires, and trying to find where he is. And so he sees Gabriel also looking for Essence, needing favors as a way to further his own goals. So he's asked Essence to look for He's asked Gabriel to look for essence. He's asked all the things. When Gabriel found Kelgen, he asked Kelgen to look for essence and sent him to go talk to some of her friends. One in particular, who is a knight in the city, in the guard, and they had last spent an evening together out on the town. Gabriel's first night, coincidentally, in the town, and that was the last time essence had been seen. So Gabriel went and talked to Sir Zinrona, who wasn't able to tell him very much herself, but understood that he was looking for her and probably reasonably safe towards the end of the conversation. She did tell him to go and talk to Nann, another lady who, a member of the, or maybe not a member of the Merchants Guild, has ties to the Merchants Guild. She sees herself as Essence's apprentice, or wants to become Essence's apprentice, and has been looking for Essence. So we went into a marketplace at the end of the last session and found her there hiding and watching something. So the big question is, what happens next? So he found Nann. Nann's trying to stay hidden. Now, good question is, does she see him? So, now, I think that actually we did resolve that. I think that he didn't want to hide from her. He just wanted to not get in the way of whatever it was that she was doing. So the question is, how does she react when she sees Gabriel? She's looking around the marketplace watching something, and she sees someone who is sat off into the corner, set up so that he himself won't take any particular notice, who acknowledges her when she looks at him. So she could freak out. What we'll do, we'll use the UNE Oracle, the Conversation Oracle, to look this one up. So, roll Oracle, Conversation Mood, NPC Importance. So these are both about conversations usually, but... So, is she scheming? She's not friendly. She's not hostile. She might be inquisitive. Well, she might be any of those things. Let's actually go random. Okay, so she is going to be inquisitive. Her focus is on a recent scene. So the only scene that she has been involved in was on Gabriel's first day in town. He spent a night drinking, talking to people, just trying to get information about the city, learn whatever there was to learn, what was relevant, and that's where we actually established the rumor of the vampires. And what happened that night was we had a group of ladies just wanting to enjoy themselves, not really wanting the intention of the drunken... was he a noble or not? There was a couple of drunk people that decided to hit up the ladies, and they weren't up for it. So we got a guard to throw out one drunk in particular. So she can either remember that, she might, maybe she was first at the tavern. Maybe the girls met at the tavern, and so Essence and what was Zinrona. So Essence and Zinrona turned up after Nann, and so Nann actually was the one that told Gabriel about the vampires potentially. Let's roll the other NPC conversation mood. So, demeanor, suspicious. Well, bearing is suspicious. The demeanor is inquisitive. So we could go distrustful, because she is suspicious of him. Sounds good. Okay. So she's not going to run away or anything. She's going to keep doing what she's doing, or she's going to actually approach Gabriel. I think that she's going to do that. She's going to wave Gabriel over. And I think that she's probably maybe they've got some benches. Yeah, they've got some benches off to the sides that people can sort of sit on and eat. So she's going to wave him over and sit down at one of them and pull out some food from a paper bag and gesture for him to come over and join her. So Gabriel will do so, walking across and sitting down with her, and she's going to say, "I've seen you before somewhere, haven't I? You're new in town. You're not someone that I know, but I know that I've seen you around." And so Gabriel's going to say, "Well, I've only been here 5 days. The night that I arrived, I believe I saw you and a couple of your friends out on the town at the Absent Jackal's Inn. At the Absent Jackal's Tavern. I believe there was a little bit of trouble with a couple of drunks, and I wasn't really involved myself, but I did point it out to one of my guard friends, and he threw them out." And she's going to go, "The dwarf. Yes, the dwarf threw them out, and he went back and sat down at your table." Yes, that's right. Hornum. He did. I'm Gabriel, by the way. And so she's going to go, "All right, so in that case, Gabriel, why, what are you doing here? Just see something you like, or see something you like that night and decide to follow them around?" Gabriel's going to say, No. Nothing of the sort. Actually, my interests lie with the Merchants Guild. You see, fortunately, not so unfortunately, I'm an alchemist, and I'm here wanting to set up a shop and join the guild, and I need to get a license. And well, they gave me Essence's name, and well, I've discovered that that this all happened that day, and then she's since gone missing. And this is probably the wrong tact to take, because she's going to continue being suspicious. Oh, so you showed up and Essence disappeared. And Gabriel's going to go, yes, no, I do believe that I've chosen the wrong way to put this. I've been looking for her, yes. I don't have anything really to say for that, except that because I've been looking, Kelgen at the guild has asked me to help him in his inquiries, which has brought me to you. And she's going to say, well, if your goal is just to get an accreditation, why don't you get Kelgen to vouch for you? He can test you. And Gabriel will say, yes. Well, that's the thing. He sort of is. When I was unable to find Essence, she was supposed to be the easiest one to find, as she's usually around the guild. But when I was unable to find her, I came by him. He was aware that I'd been making some inquiries and questioned me himself. And then I think let me roll sense motive, actually. Let's see just how much Gabriel is aware of Kelgen. I'll just roll a d20, straight d20 for him, and do a comparison. Okay, so Gabriel is aware that Kelgen is really wanting someone to do the footwork. And so Gabriel's going to say, I think that Kelgen's hoping I'm going to make his life easier for him by doing a lot of the legwork in order to find Essence. I did get the impression from him that he was more interested in looking to have done the search and getting the result. I think that he would be very happy to take my credit from me. And as a cost, I'm happy to pay, honestly, if I can get an accreditation, because my goal is really just to set up a shop. And if I can find your friend in the process, then, well, that would be better. I'd rather not bicker over who gets the credit. And so I guess she's still a little bit suspicious of him, of Gabriel. But he's not given her any. Let's roll diplomacy, because that's what this is for. I need to remember how skills work. Is it fair to say that she is... I think that she's currently unfriendly. She's suspicious of us. So, getting to indifferent is just roll a 15. Friendly is roll a 25. Okay. That's cocked. That's not a good roll. Ooh. Not a good roll. is where the fun stuff happens. However, it does give me more than 15. That is 17. That's unfortunate. Okay. So she's going to go, all right. He's at least not out to get her, or at least not dangerous at the moment. In any case, her goal is to find essence as well. So she's going to say, So I guess the question is, what does she know? What lead is she currently following? We're in the thing she could be following. She's following someone. Alright. So she's following someone around town, or waiting for them to show up. The question is, does she know who she's following? Ask a question. Does Nann know who she is following? I reckon it's kind of likely. Otherwise she's just here watching just to see if she can find. I think that she's got something, so she does know who she's following. But she doesn't know too much about them. She just knows that they are suspicious. It is during the day, something very important. So we're talking about, the suspicion at least is that there are vampires. So she's got to be looking for a servant of a vampire. So what does that look like? It could be someone from a social class. It's either going to be she's got a suspicion of someone and she's following someone related to them somehow, or she's got a suspicion of someone in a particular class and she is following that person. So, is she of a particular person? And we're going to go 50-50. No. Okay. So in that case, she's following around someone from a particular social class. We have... I did this in just... not the last session. Where is it? Maybe day 4. Hunting. Social classes. Here we go. I didn't put it in here, did I? No, I didn't. Alright, I'm going to have to put it in there. Social classes. So, the city of Fly Ridge is ruled by a theocracy. So it's ruled by the priesthood. There are the old merchants. And there are the officer class, the warrior class, and the guard. So I think we've got 3 choices here. We've got the priesthood, the merchants, and the military. So priesthood, merchants, or military. Merchants. Okay, there is a figure in the merchants. So going back, we established a few sessions ago that there are... the city was originally something else. It's become a very militaristic city, as the city across has become a ruin. There's a nearby fort that has been overrun by some sort of other force, and something monstrous, possibly demons, possibly something else. We haven't established that yet. The closest city, or the city surrounding it, got ruined, and this city, as the nearest city to it, became the first line of defense, as it stood up a militia to fight against it, and eventually set up a place for adventurers to come and sort of test themselves. Of course, adventurers seeking fame and glory, what better place to do it than, this place, the old ruins of Kulk, the fort. Is the Kulk the city or the fort? Dusty Watch is the old keep, and Kulk is the surrounding city. Getting to the bottom of that and destroying the plans of whatever evil forces would be great for an adventurer. And so we've got a large sort of a military focus in the town, and with that's brought a bunch of new industry. So the older merchants, the merchants that have been set up there for a while, saw this influx of newer merchants in order to, with the newer people to the town, and they sort of had obviously some sorts of run-ins, and the merchants that had been set up for a while there didn't necessarily get on. In order for the newer merchants to gain some traction in the city, they banded together to create the Merchants Guild, and we've essentially gotten two different factions of merchants that are in a bit of a cold war with each other, is what we've sort of established. So, someone in the Merchants Guild is a figure that she is suspicious of, and so Nann is following someone related to that figure. So let's create a character. NPC Creator. So, order, calm, standard, disarray, chaos. Gonna go random. So, we have a jovial expert, slightly weaker than the party. Understand lust, implement greed, conquer discrimination. So he wants to understand lust. That's interesting. He understanding the motivations of other men in order to take advantage of them. He's trying to see what makes them tick, how he can take advantage of that. With implement greed, that sounds to me like he's going, oh, you're pretty greedy, I can take advantage of that. And conquer discrimination, that's interesting. So his goals, perhaps, he's had some kind of issue with discrimination, doesn't see it particularly well. So, that makes me think that he's a little bit less likely to be human. We've got mainly humans, dwarves, and elves in the setting. Could go tiefling. We do have some we do have some room to put in other races. Being a tiefling would be particularly... now, so if we go D&D 5e tiefling, which is straight up devilish tiefling, then that could be interesting from the perspective of where... It could also lock us into what we're dealing with, but he could be seen by the people as related to the incursion, even though he's been around. He or she, we don't actually know who this person is yet. Let's roll. She, okay. So she is... She's been around for a while. So even though she's an established person, she might be... I'm liking the idea of being a tiefling. We'll give her a human name. So the other thing with tieflings is we could go with non... like pre-Asmodeus tieflings, where if you're looking at the D&D cosmology, Asmodeus corrupted the blood of all tieflings, so they all had devilish blood, as opposed to all of the different sort of interplanar beings that had created them before. I think we're going with that because I like how all of that works. That sort of came together. So we need a name. Name, of course. You roll oracle. Human. Female name. And she gets a human surname. Lauren Rumblebeard. Okay. So Nann's going to point over to a well-dressed lady with red-tinted skin. And horns. Red-tinted skin and horns. And say, see her? And Gabriel will go, yes, the tiefling, I believe. And she's going to say, yes. Yeah, that thing. Don't really trust them. I'm like, well, why? And she's going to go, do you know where we are? There's a big incursion over there. She could be related. And I'm like, well... And Gabriel's going to say, well, she also might not. I mean, if I was going to try and corrupt some people in the town, because, like, why would I use the tiefling? She stands out. That's not going to help. And Nann's going to look at Gabriel at that and say, and sort of look at him and go, yeah, but she's with the older Merchants Guild. She has connections to a particular person, and I've been hearing that I've just sort of decided that let's roll for that. And she, the person that she's got a connection to, hasn't been seen in the day for some time. And so Gabriel's going, okay, so you think that she might be connected to a vampire, and that's the angle that you've been looking through. And Ned's going to go, you knew that I was looking. And Gabriel's going to say, yes, I came because Sir Zinrona suggested that I talk to you because if anyone was going to have a lead, it was going to be you. And she's going to say, okay, well, there's your lead. Lauren Rumblebeard. She works for... She runs the shop. She runs a shop called... I need a shop name. Let's open a new tab. Reddit. Behind the tables. So, do we have shops? Shopkeepers? That might work. Magic shops. Shops. Okay. So I don't necessarily want a magic shop, but use these tables with a bunch of other places. Guild status and control is... It's all... Hang on. No, I don't want to create a merchant guild. That's not what I thought it was going to give me. Anyway. 1d50. So, d100 divided by 2, I guess. One. So, weapons. The shop's type is... whatever. 2. Attached to the merchant's home. The shop is owned by... Oh, this is giving me some... That's a d12 that it wants me to roll. Because I have a d12 handy. Of course I have a d12 handy. Why would I not? When I'm always rolling them. Hang on a sec. I really need to set something up so that I can automatically roll on these. I have seen Reddit bots that do it, but it basically just creates more Reddit posts. That's not quite what I want to do, but it'd be interesting to write something that scrape the table off the site, and then gave you a finalized set of rolls. Okay. I now have D20, D12. So, 4. An obsessive compulsive gnome. I should have read this table before I went with it. So we'll go with obsessive compulsive. So gnome, yeah. High elf, halfling. It would work with a straight third ed setting. Straight D&D setting. So we'll just go with an obsessive compulsive person. as I currently don't have gnomes in my setting, the shop's condition is 2. Well maintained. Yeah, that makes sense. Well maintained. It is cleaned regularly by the obsessive compulsive owner. The condition of the merchandise is falling apart. Okay, that's interesting. A weapons shop where the merchandise doesn't... It's old. Where do they get their supplies from? 2. They are crafted or attained by the merchant's apprentices. Well, he or she is running around town running errands. 1d8. Got one of them somewhere. The items are priced above value. The shop size is... What is this? 1d5. Average. And then if we roll 1d4, a few people mill in and out of the shop. Something interesting you find. Not sure if I should roll this one right now. 20. 10, because we're divided by 2, because it's a d50. Magical barriers prevent people from handling the merchandise. Do I like that for the setting? This is very high fantasy. Anything can happen. There's magic everything. Kind of table, if we've got stuff like that in there. Yeah, I think that's what we're going for. So magic barriers prevent people from handling the merchandise, which is good because apparently it's falling apart. Which is interesting in itself. Excuse me for a second. Okay, so here's where everyone gets sick of my noisy chair. I really need to look into fixing that. Because you want more of the sound. Alright. So, is there anything more in this? Yeah, this is what I was talking about. There are Reddit bots that will give you the answers for it, but maybe I could get something straight into Emacs that getting distracted. But that would be a cool little project. Let's just record those rolls. The bit where you just have to bear with me. Sorry, I do believe that the feedback I've gotten from this when people have been listening to it is that they listen to it. So watching me copy stuff from one table to one web page to a text editor is not particularly interesting. I don't remember the outcome of this roll. Thinking I rolled a 3 for some reason. The merchant's apprentices. So what is it that, if the objects, the condition of the merchandise is falling apart, what is it that they're selling? I think they're probably... I think that's a bit of a... They're part of the old guard kind of thing. They're staying open. They've got the money. They don't need the business these days. The Merchants Guild, people are probably going to them, and they're probably taking less interest in the shop itself as they deal with everything behind the curtain with the alliance of the older merchants. Not really an alliance. It's I'm really picturing it as a bit of a snobby nobles exclusive club kind of thing. And so our potential vampire, the shop is owned by, and we said that we're going to change that to person. The shop's type is... Yeah, so the owner hasn't been seen for a while in public and hasn't been seen in the shop, which is why Nann is interested in him. It is attached to the merchant's home. This is looking pretty good to be a vampire. The shop sells. And what did I get? Weapons. I rolled a 1. Okay. 1 on a D100. It's often actually a good roll. Okay. So... we've got Nann's following Lauren Rumblebeard around. And Lauren is just walking around the different stalls. So what's she doing in the marketplace? The marketplace is... I think she's talking to people. She's talking to the owners of the different shops as she's moving through. And now Gabriel is sitting with Nann, eating some bread. I don't think that she's actually offered him any, or if she has, it's only been a very small portion. And he's saying, well, that is very, very interesting. So the owner of this shop, we don't have a name. Use these tables with Urban Marketplace. Where did I get my shop names originally? I don't remember. Anyway, so she works for someone who hasn't been seen in a while. And she'll go, yes, but they're still active. I can't speak to anyone who seems to have seen them because they seem to be keeping quite exclusively among the old merchants. They're not really dealing with people, especially people that have ties to the guild. And Gabriel's going to say, well, perhaps I can speak to her. I am new in town, and I'd hate to get on the wrong side of something that I don't understand. Perhaps she'd be willing to speak to me about something, at least. And so she's going to say, yeah, perhaps you could give it a go. I wouldn't do it now. Perhaps it would be best if you did it when she's gone to her shop. And she says, she's sort of sitting there talking, and I think she probably starts to pass the time talking about other things, the weather, etc., especially as Lauren gets closer. Obviously, we don't want Lauren to pick up that we're being followed. I'm guessing the bench... Ooh, knocking the microphone, sorry. The bench would be set amongst one end of the stalls. And so, probably as she gets up, Gabriel's going, well, that is very interesting. But perhaps I need to not let her... need to stop the chances of us being seen together if we're going to do that. She's going to get up of herself. She's not going to pass the time talking about things. She's going to lead Gabriel away. Down a street where the two of them will still be able to see her, see into the marketplace. And she'll sort of stop at a doorway, and start the two of them will just stand there talking, so that it looks like Gabriel's going inside and still talking, and so she's still able to keep an eye on Lauren. And she's going to have a overly enthusiastic chat with Gabriel for a while before heading off and saying, all right, I'll meet you at a little bit later at this gate. I'm going to continue following her. But if we meet in 2 hours' time at the East Gate, I will, assuming I'm able, I will take you to her shop. Or actually, no, she'll just give directions. She'll actually say, oh, the shop is, it's near the East Gate, and if you go see here, this is what it's called. Maybe try getting yourself in to talk to her. I'm going to continue tailing her, and she's going to walk off. She's going to say, don't go around now. Or if you do, because she's not there, and he's going to say, well, if I go around now and she's not there, then that wouldn't be too strange, would it? Obviously, no one is going to expect me to know where she is, and she's going to think for a second, go, yes, I suppose if you turn up now, you might not get anything useful, but it wouldn't be strange behavior. And so she will head off to continue following what was her name? Lauren Rumblebeard. I love that name, Rumblebeard. And I think with Gabriel heading in his own off on his own to go to the shop, we're going to leave it there. So I guess it's interesting. In only an hour, we'd only get a little bit done. We only discover a little bit as we spend a lot of time looking through tables, but we have a slowly progressing story. So that is fun. I do want to try keeping this up and trying to do it a little bit more regularly. I think that I last streamed Was it a week ago? Was it 2 weeks ago? I'm not too sure now. But I am going to try and be more involved and more try and get into this more. Live streaming is good because I just have to start. Anyway, that's it for today, and I will see you next time. Have a good one.